I'm in Slab City in California, and I found a cat.
In the middle of an endless desert, where the scorching sun beat down mercilessly and the horizon seemed to stretch into infinity, a small miracle unfolded. A man driving along an isolated road was startled to see something unusual by the side of the path. Squinting against the glaring sunlight, he slowed down, unsure of what he was looking at. As he approached, he was met with the sight of a tiny kitten, barely more than a handful of fur, sitting helplessly in the sand. The kitten was a pitiful sight. Her fur was dusty and matted, and her eyes were crusted shut, likely from an infection. She meowed weakly, a sound so small it was almost swallowed by the desert wind. The man, a traveler who had set out on a journey of solitude, wasn't sure what to do. He wasn't particularly fond of cats, and to complicate matters, he was allergic to them. Still, he couldn't bring himself to leave the fragile creature alone in such an inhospitable place. With a resigned sigh, he stepped out of his car, careful not to spook the kitten. The kitten's response was a weak attempt to move closer to him, her tiny body trembling with exhaustion. The man knew then that he couldn't just drive away. He scooped her up, mindful of his allergies, and gently placed her in a makeshift bed made from an old sweater in the passenger seat. As the car rumbled back onto the road, the kitten curled up and fell into a deep sleep, seemingly comforted by the man's presence. He glanced at her every so often, wondering what he had gotten himself into. Taking care of a cat was the last thing he'd planned for. Yet, as the miles rolled by, he found himself growing attached to the little bundle of life that had so unexpectedly entered his world. For the next few days, the man and the kitten, whom he had started calling Scythe because of her sharp little claws, began to bond. Despite his initial reluctance, he found himself talking to her, sharing his thoughts and stories. Scythe, in turn, seemed to understand that she was safe now. Her eyes began to clear up, revealing a pair of bright, curious orbs that seemed to take in the world with wonder. Her energy levels skyrocketed, and she started exploring their temporary accommodations with a boldness that belied her tiny size. The man couldn't help but smile as Scythe pounced on imaginary prey or batted at the edge of a blanket. Despite his allergies, he began to look forward to her playful antics and the way she curled up next to him at night. He even started sneezing less, as if his body was slowly acclimating to her presence. Still, he knew he couldn't keep her. His lifestyle as a frequent traveler wasn't suited for a pet, and his allergies, while manageable for now, could become a problem again. One day, he decided to take Scythe to his parents' home, hoping they might be able to provide her with a permanent place to stay. His parents lived in a small house surrounded by a lush garden, a far cry from the barren desert where Scythe had been found. The moment they saw her, they were smitten. His mother, a lifelong animal lover, scooped Scythe up and showered her with affection. His father, though initially reserved, soon warmed up to the idea of having a kitten around. Scythe seemed to sense that she was in a place where she would be loved and cared for. She purred contentedly, snuggling into his mother's arms as if she had always belonged there. It's astonishing how life has a way of placing us in situations we never anticipated, nudging us toward growth and understanding in the most unexpected ways. The story of Scythe and the man who found her in the desert is a poignant reminder of the transformative power of compassion and the unexpected bonds that can form between humans and animals. The initial setting, a vast, unyielding desert, seems symbolic of isolation and hardship. The man, on a journey of solitude, likely sought the desert for its stark beauty and introspective quiet. Yet, amidst this barren landscape, life presented him with a challenge in the form of a helpless kitten. The contrast between the harshness of the desert and the vulnerability of Scythe highlights the fragility of life and the profound importance of extending kindness when it is needed most. The man's hesitation to help the kitten reflects a common internal struggle when faced with unexpected responsibilities. His allergy to cats and his lack of affinity for them could have easily justified leaving the kitten behind. Yet, his choice to help her speaks volumes about human empathy. It underscores the idea that our true character is revealed not when we follow our plans, but when we adapt to the needs of others. Scythe, despite her fragile state, also embodies resilience. Her will to survive in such an unforgiving environment mirrors the resilience many stray animals show. Her transformation from a weak, dusty kitten to a playful, energetic companion is a testament to the healing power of love and care. In a way, her recovery parallels the man's journey from solitude to connection. The man's growing attachment to Scythe despite his allergies is a subtle yet profound element of this narrative. It reflects how bonds often form, not because circumstances are perfect, but because love and care transcend inconvenience. By naming her Scythe, he gave her an identity, a sense of belonging. This simple act marks a shift in his perspective, from seeing her as a burden to acknowledging her as a meaningful presence in his life. When the man decides to take Scythe to his parents, it's clear he understands his limitations. This decision is not one of abandonment, but of ensuring Scythe's well-being. It demonstrates responsibility and self-awareness, showing that love sometimes means making choices for someone else's benefit, even if it comes at a personal cost. The reception Scythe receives at his parents' home is heartwarming. Their immediate affection for her and willingness to provide a loving home reflects the ripple effect of compassion. The mother's joy and the father's eventual warmth illustrate how acts of kindness can inspire others. Scythe's seamless transition into their lives is a beautiful conclusion to her journey, highlighting how every creature deserves a place where they are cherished. The man's reflection as he drives away is particularly poignant. Scythe's impact on his life, though brief, was profound. She disrupted his solitude and taught him lessons about connection, responsibility, and the unexpected joy of caring for another being. The idea that the most unplanned detours can lead to the most meaningful destinations is a universal truth. Often, the most transformative experiences come from the things we least expect or plan for. This story also serves as a broader reminder of the plight of stray animals. For every Scythe that finds a loving home, countless others remain in need. It's a call to action, urging us to be more mindful and compassionate toward the vulnerable beings we encounter, whether they are in the desert, on the streets, or in shelters. Finally, Scythe's journey underscores the interconnectedness of life. A man seeking solitude finds companionship. A kitten facing death in the desert finds a family. Their paths cross, and both are changed forever. It's a beautiful reminder that even in our most isolated moments, we are never truly alone. Life has a way of intertwining our stories, often in ways that heal and inspire us. This tale of Scythe and the man who saved her is not just about rescuing a kitten. It's about the quiet, transformative power of kindness. It's about the ways in which life surprises us, challenges us, and ultimately teaches us to open our hearts to love in all its forms. This story reminds us that the smallest moments can have the most profound impact on our lives. What started as a chance encounter in a vast desert became a life-changing journey for both the man and the kitten. Scythe, with her tiny frame and endless resilience, showed how even the most fragile beings can inspire courage, kindness, and connection. The man's decision to save Scythe, despite his own challenges, and ultimately find her a loving home, is a testament to the power of compassion. It's a reminder that every small act of care, even in the face of uncertainty, can create ripples of joy and love that spread far beyond ourselves. As we go about our lives, let's remember the lesson of Scythe's story. Kindness can turn the most unexpected encounters into something extraordinary. Whether it's helping a stranded kitten or offering support to someone in need, we all have the power to make a difference. Thank you for joining us on this heartwarming journey. If you've been inspired by Scythe's story, consider extending a helping hand to animals in need or supporting local shelters. Together, we can create more stories of hope and love.